best thing that I've learned from attending college is not how to solve scientific problems. It's not how to solve math problems. It's not how to code. It's not how to write a paper. It's not learning another language. It's critical thinking. The best thing that I've learned in college is how to critically think. And I say this coming from the perspective of trying to be open and trying to think forward and think in front of me and trying to help me get to the next thing that I want to achieve. Just imagine yourself, okay? You want to get $1 million, okay? You want to make $1 million, but you are a college student right now. How do you get to $1 million? Because you can't create a pathway without the skills to make that path. And so you gain the skills that you need currently. I do not know how to make $1,000 or $1 million. I do not know how to make $1 million right now. I really don't. But these classes that I'm taking are not, I don't know how to explain it. They are very essential, do not get me wrong. They very are for my degree. However, I think the biggest takeaway is how to learn a material quickly and how to actually understand it and then interpret it and then apply it to different terms. It's not necessarily about, how does cellular respiration occur on a molecular level? It's how does this function of the body work? And how can I relate that to bigger pictures? Because it is very important, don't get me wrong, to understand how things work on a very minute and micro scale. But the journey of learning it is the most important thing. I say that now, and then I'm going to be crying in a few weeks. But you sometimes have to think from a big picture of, how am I going to learn this material? What is the best way to learn? And how can I facilitate that for myself? Because in life, you're going to have to learn how to do so many things. You're going to have to apply your knowledge to certain subjects. You're going to have to interpret it, switch it up, figure out how to use it, try to use it, figure out where you went wrong, and try it again. And these classes that I'm taking, like biochemistry, analytical chemistry, and some of my business classes, they are priming me to, one, learn the material, have a general understanding, be able to be literate in this field. But from a macro perspective, it's teaching me how to delve deeper and have an interest in how to look at something, question it, create questions, think of solutions, and execute. I bring this up because you guys know I've had major struggles with my 2 physics classes. I was very much struggling. I got like a few C's on my tests. So my first semester I got maybe like 2 A's, a B, and like many B's, I think, and I pulled out with an A on my final. I think I got like a 98 or 95. I think it was the 98 I got on my final because of the extra credit. And then on my past semester final, I got a 95. And I don't know how I did it, because I say that from the I don't know how I did that from the perspective of I put in hours. I don't know how many hours I did of practice problems, using ChatGPT, helping me to figure out these problems, like trying to work through them and try to understand them in the way of thinking, and then doing that over and over again until I've mastered enough of that skill to do it again and again and again, to replicate that. But I say this coming from a place of failure. I took a test one time, And this is really dramatic, just like for me. I got on one of my tests, I got back my second semester of physics, I got a C on it. And that was probably the lowest grade I've ever gotten on like a test in college. And I'm like, it's fine because I tried my best, whatever, don't care. But I'm not letting that happen ever again. I'm not letting that ever happen again. And I understood where I went wrong. I understood my faults and how I could have done better, how I could have prepared better, how I could have thought differently. And it's not even the fact that I got a C. Big picture, whoopee-doo, you got a C. But it's from the fact that you bounce back. You bounce back 10 times harder, 10 times faster, 10 times quicker. Because from the first semester, I was very lost because I felt like I was being spoken into a different language because I've never experienced a class with his teaching style and the way that he did it. He's a brand new teacher, and I advocate him for being a new teacher and trying to do this. It was just challenging as a student to have that different learning experience than I ever had. And having that experience of having a brand new professor, it taught me that you have to ask for help. You have to ask for help no matter what. You have to attend like teacher assistant times. You have to attend office hours. You have to want it bad enough to get that grade that you want, that end goal, that $1 million. Because it's not even the fact that I learned physics. That's not the principle. Yes, I'm glad I learned physics, but that's not the overarching main point. It's that the point is that I learned how to critically think. I learned what I need to be doing, how I can improve, what I did wrong, how I can get resources that I need, and how to navigate that world of struggle, flip it upside down, and use it to cultivate something that I want. And the same thing goes for second semester. I was struggling. It was hard. It was difficult. Nothing I've done before. But I was able to find that struggle, use my resources, and to get that grade that I wanted. It's not to say that I'm some genius or something. It's the fact that you have to want something bad enough to take action for it. And that is probably the biggest thing that college has also taught me. Critical thinking, how to solve issues, how to identify them, and what to do about it. Find the resources, and then critical thinking will get you to where you want to be. Because if you can't think forward, then what are you thinking? Because if you're thinking in the present, you're too late. Not to say that thinking in the present is bad. It's just in certain situations that you have to think forward. But then I'm not saying this is like set in stone that, thinking in the present is bad. Because sometimes you have to make in the present moments. Because they're that quick. They come up that quick and you can't think forward. And you might make the right or wrong decision, and that's out of your control. You got to do what you got to do in the beginning. But I'm saying in some opportunities, in some situations, you have to think forward enough to be present enough to get it done for the future of you. Like, for example, they held like weekly supplementary instructor help, like SI sessions. And those were like Tuesday, Thursdays. And I never wanted to go to one. Like, yes, a few times I wanted to go to them to get help, but not very often was I like, I'm so excited to go to my SI tonight. I love going to SI at 7 at night. No. Many times I was like, no. But when I showed up, I was usually the only person that showed up. Literally the only person. And it was literally just one-on-one help with physics. I showed up, I did my due diligence, and I got the results. Critically thinking of what my issue was. I didn't understand the material. The professor was challenging for me to understand. And I didn't like the results that I've been getting on my tests. Issue 1, Issue 2, Issue 3. I have resources. Office hours, supplementary instructors, my cohort, the people that I go to classes with. Yes, yes, and yes. Use those 3 resources. And then check. Has that been working? Is this making progress for me? Am I closer to that $1 million? Have I made $100 yet? Question, question, question. I went from an A to a B to a B to a C to an A. It's not linear. My progress is far from linear. My progress was far from linear. And that's fine. Because as long as you know you are doing every single thing in your power to get to that next level, to get to that goal, to that $1 million, that's literally all that matters. I will say this forever and ever and ever. You will need to learn how to fail forward. It's not going to be pretty. Failing is never pretty. Internally, externally, your stress, your body, so many things go on when your cortisol levels are high. But you have to continue forward, regardless of the outcome, regardless of anything. Because how badly do you want that goal? How badly at the end of the day do you want something? And so then I ask you, how far are you willing to sacrifice to get to that $1 million, to get to that grade, to get that job, that interview, that whatever that end goal is? Because what honestly keeps me going is my future self. I'd say for school, I always think forward. And it kind of is a difficulty because then I think too forward and then I'm not in the present and then I'm like, focus, focus, future, future, future. But then I kind of forget to be in the present moment. But it's hard. But regardless, that is one mindset that you could be in if that works for you for education. But then from another perspective, in athletics, the gym, life in general, like hustling, kind of in the back of the mind, it depends. I'm a very calm and cool, collected person, but at times I can be very competitive. And especially during practices, I'm very competitive. But like during like the competitions, the meets, very chill, laid back when I should be like, but anyways. What keeps me moving and burning and glowing and fire and like the ember that burns inside of me when I practice something physically, like do sports, do whatever activities, I always imagine someone else doing it better, doing it for longer, and who's outworking me. Those are the 3 things that keep me going. Because I always know somebody is outworking me, which makes me push myself farther and farther and farther. That's kind of not the best mentality because sometimes you should focus on trying to be the best version of you. But honestly, thinking of somebody who is working harder than me gets me fired up and it pushes me further. And not to say that's perfect for everybody because it might not work for you, and that's fine. Maybe you can just try to think about doing better than you did yesterday, or pushing harder than you did yesterday, or doing something that you've never done. And that's perfectly fine too. You have to find what works for you. And the way that I have viewed college and my experiences might be completely different than yours, and that's completely fine. But those are honestly the 2 big ones. I would say my third, I kind of glanced over this, but my third biggest takeaway from college is using the resources that I have. Because as independent, as introverted that you might be, as capable of you as you might be, think about how far you could go with someone else. And then a group of 3, and then a group of 4, and then a group of 5. Of people similar to you. You never see Jeff Bezos, you never see Elon Musk working by themselves. Okay, maybe not, I don't know. But they usually always have a team. Big people have a team because it's so important to get other people's perspective. Because I will be wrong 1,000 times out of 1,000 times. But then someone else might be wrong only 90% out of 100 times. And that is the key. That is very much the key to attaining that $1 million. Because your perspective is so small, not to like belittle you, but like my perspective is so small. But having that outside point of view is so valuable, because so many times during last year and the year before that and the year before that, my classmates, even in high school, and just like years in general before college and during college, I have seen so many specific things, and I'm like, oh, I don't know why I'm wrong. I don't understand this. And then one of my friends was like, yo, I like to think of it like this way. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. Like, thank you so much. Like, it's finally clicking. You and I cannot fully become our best versions, the best person of ourselves, without someone else. Because we have one mindset, we have one perspective. And so we must use everybody's resources that they have. I should have said that. Use the resources that you have. Use your classmates, use your teachers, use your coworkers, use your boss, use your neighbor, use your like I've already said coworker, but like use your friends. Your friends have so many skills. Like literally my roommate, she's a software. She's a computer science major. And she's like, yo, if you ever need help building a website, let me know. And my other roommate also knows how to use all that stuff. And my other roommate, I don't know how she could help me, but connections from the same area-ish. You never know who you can call out to. You never know who's going to be your next advocate. Because who is to say that yours or my perspective will get us the farthest? What if it's like a puzzle that you're like, bam, I have the best combination? You don't. You never know. And that is why you should really use your resources. Use them to your fullest. Like, I have to pay tuition. Yeah, I have to pay tuition. And I'm gonna use every single resource that I have to pay for my, I don't even know, my journey. Like all the teachers, the supplementary, the tutors, like every single thing that I can. And you just have to. Because without that, without using your foundation, you're not going to be able to make that $1 million as quickly as you think. Because it's as the same analogy as you can get to the same destination, but it's going to be harder. For example, you can walk, you can drive, you can fly, you can use a boat, you can use a scooter, you can bike. You have endless amounts of ways of getting to a destination. Some are quicker, some are slower, but each of them take and use different resources. Because you can't automatically get a car, assumingly, like when you're younger. You most often have to walk to places. And you just can't drive at the age of like 10, at least like in my country. And so you have to use your resources to get that. For example, if you are a really good person who can talk with people and you are talking with your dealership and you're like, yo, you don't say that, but like you're more formal and more like professional, but you're like, yo, I'm broke. I'm a college student. I'm a high schooler. Can I get a discount? And they're like, yeah, sure. What do you want? And you're like, yo, this car. I can give you like a $5,000 right here, down payment. Okay, say less. Do it. I'll knock down 20%. It's probably not how that goes, but the worst thing that they say is no. You had nothing to lose. So you might as well try and use your resources as much as you can, and use your background, and use the things that you have. Because at least like with like my insurance, I get a discount because of certain things. Find out things. use your resources. And that is how you can finally get that $1 million quicker than without critical thinking. Critical thinking, like building a tool and building your journey to get it and using your resources. Because honestly, once you can identify a goal, once you take action by using the people that you know and using your resources, you can reach any goal that you want. As long as you're willing to sacrifice. And as long as you're willing to put the effort in and at least try, you're going to get something out of it. You really are. So you just got to trust the process and trust in your ability that you can and you will and that you have done it. Because every single part of me knows that you can. Food for thought.